Z, it's now time for another edition of
Wins of the Week!
Oh, I love this. Oh, yeah, I'm dancing.
Yeah!
I'm dancing.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah. Little
Yeah!
cowbell.
You can do it!
Oh, yeah, little cowbell.
Get that cowbell on the track.
Get some cowbell going. Oh, yeah.
I want to just go talking to a box fan for
yeah.
hours. Unbelievable.
Oh.
Now, let me explain, before I introduce today's guest, why we like Wins of the Week so much. See, 96% of startups, according to Inc. magazine,
No, don't do it.
fail.
Don't say it.
96?
We're going to change that.
And Z, you know what? That's more than 95.
Less than 97, but that's not a big.
And when you think about what that means when someone takes their life savings
Oh, yeah.
and they get fired
And
up,
their uncles.
and their uncles,
And their friend that their grandmother grew up with.
and they take all of that money
Uh-huh.
and they invest it into something.
And their coffee shop.
They sow all those seeds.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't reap a harvest. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch. It's
we
tough
don't
to
like
handle.
it.
It's
That's
tough
why
to watch.
we started this 3.5 years ago. Sorry.
Correct. And so what we like to do, we can't always do it, but what we like to do is we like to have listeners engage and come out to a conference. We have so many people that tried out the online school. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
But then a step further, when somebody implements it, we feel good. See, you and I.
We feel good because we feel like, back in the day,
Back in the day.
we'd have that one-on-one mentorship with entrepreneurs, and we loved it.
Yep.
And when you approached me 3.5, almost 4 years ago and said, hey, listen, let's do it across the world.
All around the world.
All around the world, because we know people learn from either what? Mentors or mistakes.
Yep.
And mistakes aren't much fun way to learn. And everybody's looking for a mentor. So what we try to do is try to gather up a bunch of great mentors, gather up a bunch of great entrepreneurs, get them together and say, hey, listen, we'll help you.
We'll help you
with the steps to be successful. So you can be, hopefully we'll take it from 96 down to maybe 90, then 85, and then maybe 75, right?
It's just
3 out of 4.
It's exciting when you have somebody who applies what they're learning and they're having success. Because again, failure's tough. And so on today's show, we have somebody out there, Z, that's helped us lower that percentage. This guy is diligently implementing everything he's learning. And I could not be more fired up to have him on the show. Blake, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing just fantastic.
So, Blake, I'm going to go rapid fire, and I have 4 points I want to hit on, and you can tell me how you did it, okay? So, step one, you've doubled your revenue from 2019 to 2020 is my understanding. You've doubled your revenue. Is that true, sir?
Yeah, I did. I doubled my revenue, and I actually hit the same revenue goal, or what I did in 2019. I had got to that revenue by August of 2020.
What are you, muling drugs?
Yeah, are you?
Hey, don't you worry about that.
Blake, what do you do for a living? What is your occupation?
I'm an estate planning and business attorney.
So, what specifically have you implemented that's allowed you to double the revenue of your law practice?
It's been, I think, a couple of things. One is I work my Dream 100 consistently. Every quarter I try to catch up with everybody that's on there so that they know I'm here and I'm doing things and that I'm available. I'm a resource for them. The second thing I do, or that I think has had a big impact, is the podcast, because I have a podcast called the Trusted Podcast. And it's not necessarily that I get leads from the podcast itself, but it gives me credibility. But it also, with the transcription of that produces content for my website.
Here it does.
And so my website is consistently bumped higher and higher on Google because of that.
So you're saying that people find you online as a result of ranking top in the search engines, and we have entire shows about this, but you record your show, the content is transcribed, you come up top in Google, people find you, but then they listen to you first and they go, man, am I going to cast my dollars, a.k.a. am I going to vote for this attorney? And they listen to your show while making are you telling me that your actual clients find you on the internet? What?
Yeah, it's amazing. And actually, I think the biggest thing that's helped me is because I've actually have an internet presence and have done such a good job of making myself known out there and having the podcast as a source of credibility. I got Super Lawyers Rising Star Award this year, and then last week I got the Vegas Inc. top top 5 transactional and probate attorneys.
You're in
for
Vegas?
Las Vegas? So those are things that I would have never gotten if I didn't actually appear online. No one would have found me.
Wait a minute. All this is happening too fast. You're telling me. See, let me get out the megaphone. That helps me a lot of times.
I tell you what happened. He's in Vegas, and here's what happened.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Here's the deal. He got on a heater, and he just rolled that on up.
A heater? What's a heater?
A heater's when you got a hot hand at the craps table. He was on a heater.
Not a heater.
And he made a ton of money.
Sir, stop counting the cards.
And now he's saying, that's really how he made all of his money. I'm sure that's what it is.
I want to
make
Blake. Blake, is that how you made all your money?
No, Blake doesn't gamble. He's a good Mormon boy.
Oh, well then.
That is true.
Oh,
Really?
that punches holes in my story. That's no fun. I don't let the truth ruin a good story.
Now,
my story
Blake,
is actually pretty good.
I want to make sure we're getting this idea. So, see, this guy's in Vegas, which is where we are not located.
Correct.
He has learned various concepts, one of which is called the Dream 100, where
we
you
could
make a
fly
list.
there any moment, by the way.
He's made a list. See, we could using airplane technology.
Yes.
We could fly out to anywhere we want to be, actually. But he's implemented the Dream 100, see, which is a similar system to what you use at your auto auction. See,
Yes.
please explain why you make a list of all of the top used car dealerships in Oklahoma that you want to wow, and in northeastern Oklahoma and in the surrounding states. Why do you make a list of all of the used car dealers that you want to work with at the Z66 auto auction, and why do you call them all until they cry, buy, or die? And then in the event they die, why do you resuscitate them and call them some more?
Do a little CPR on them because that's your playbook. That's your draft list. That's the ones that you want to go get. You're saying, okay, I've got these 9. What's the 10th that I don't have? And then you put all your resources in and you just wow them. You love on them. You find out what makes their little clock tick. One of the guys that I found out he was my number 1 draft pick, and I had to sign him. I had to get him. And so I did a little research. Give me some research music.
I'll get you some research music.
I need some research music.
I always have it available. Let me just get you to that. Ask for it, Z.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Research.
And I found out that one of his loves in life were having a good cigar at the end of the day. A cigar, some would say. Close but no cigar.
Some would say. If you want to mispronounce it, you would say cigar.
Right.
Cigar.
Right, yes. And so I found out where said person purchased his cigars, and I went to that establishment, and I said, "Hey, I need to wow a guy who comes in here." And
I need to
said,
wow a guy.
Who's the guy?
Who's the guy?
Who's the guy? I told him the guy, and they said, "Oh, we got you.
I got
We
you.
know what his wheelhouse.
I'm gonna hook you up.
Is. I'm gonna make you a deal you're not gonna say no to." And so anyway, that was part of the wooing process, is doing a little intel on the Dream 100. Saying, you know what? I got this box of cigars. And I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Here we go.
I know you love that horse in your backyard. I don't want to see his head in your bed.
I would
if you know
hate
what
to
I mean.
decapitate your horse.
I mean, I know how much you love it.
I'd hate to find it.
I know how much you
in your bag
hate.
without its
I know how much you love
body
June bug
attached.
in your backyard there. So don't say no.
I brought it.
And by the way, I got a gift here for you. And no, there's not a finger in the box. It's just cigars.
Would you
but
like
there could be.
Would you like a
And
cigar?
it could be yours if you're not careful. If you're
Would you
just
like?
saying.
Would you like to hold?
Saws
my
are
lead-
such, they cause problems.
Would you like to hold my lead pipe?
Z, you handle Dream 100 a lot differently than most of my clients.
No, it's more aggressive.
Over the top.
I was about to
But
say.
I want to make sure people get this, because people think, oh my gosh, my industry is different. No, it's not. Blake, you're implementing it. What would you say to everybody out there? You're not getting paid to say this. What would you say to someone who says, but my industry's different. I don't want to keep cold calling people that I don't know because my industry's different. What would you say?
It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Having good contacts and referrals are the best ways to get business. And the best way to do that is have a Dream 100. You don't have to just start off by cold calling. The way I started was doing it through my LinkedIn. I went through and I found who in my LinkedIn that I already know is either a person I want to be on my Dream 100, or 2, is a connection to my Dream 100 so I can get a warm introduction there. So it doesn't have to be just calling people randomly. Like, you find out who you want and then do some research and see if you have a connection to get in there, because that's a lot easier way to go about it. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best things I could have done for my business. I was doing it before I started the coaching, but not to the level I am now, and it's made me be a lot more consistent in my efforts there.
Blake, how many of your original top 100 did you gather, just for fun? Do you have any idea?
So talking hard to say because my dad was my partner when I first started out of law school, and so he told me, hey, go take financial advisors and CPAs to lunch. So I started doing that, but it wasn't necessarily with the purpose of doing it consistently and having a Dream 100.
Business
so I probably
dating.
had maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 on the high end before I started coaching. But then after that, I got my list up to
Yeah, I was just
I've got
better.
60 plus in Las Vegas, and then I have an office in Salt Lake, and I've got about another 25 to 30 there. So I still haven't really filled out my whole 100, but that's where my capacity is to make sure I keep them serviced.
So
Business
Blake, did your
dating.
lunch go something like this? Hey,
Hey,
hi, Carl. I'm
Carl.
just wanting you to know that I've been dreaming about you. You're actually on my 100 list, and it's kind of a
you're in the top 5 on the
kind of a
100
big
list.
kind of a big deal, Carl. And just want you to know that I'm coming after you.
If my relationship doesn't work out with my significant other, you could be my significant,
Business other.
What, is that how your pitch went? Is that what your pitch? Was that your
is
move?
Is that the move?
No, the move is,
oh.
let's. I like to take them to lunch. That way, if we're out of the office, they're not distracted by all the other things they have going on. They can actually relax and focus. And I just talk to them about what they're interested in, get to know them, as a person, and actually have a real relationship with them instead of trying to just sell them something right from the beginning. And you
I think
build
that's
that
important.
rapport,
Yeah.
and then it automatically leads to the next conversation of, what do you do?
Well, that move could have worked for Blake because his nickname, he doesn't like me to say this, they call him Blake the Body Johnson over
Blake
in
the
Las
Body
Vegas.
Johnson.
Wow. Oh my
okay.
goodness.
See, I was always
So
wondering.
he goes to lunch without a shirt on. Is that what
Hey,
you're
so-
saying?
hey,
Have, have you seen this guy?
Oh, of course.
He's a
Everybody sees Blake the Body
triathlete.
Johnson.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Hey, real quick, Blake, I want to make sure we clarify. I'm glad you clarified that your approach to the Dream 100 is slightly different than what Z was referring to, because when I originally, as a young man, I was probably 18, 19, I said, Z, how do I do the Dream 100? He said, read the Book of Solomon. And it's where a guy just keeps marrying people to make partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
And it got weird for a minute there. And then
got-
you
it
said,
got
no.
weird. No,
There's
no.
other wisdom
There's
of
other
Solomon you want to
wisdom,
distill,
yeah,
not just
not
that part.
not that.
Okay, final 2 questions for you. Goal setting. Goal settings and repetitive systems. We don't have time to get into all the systems you've created. We don't have time to get into all the goals you've set. But so many people say, I'm too busy to set goals and too busy to make systems. Blake, what would you say to somebody out there that says, I'm too busy making money to build systems and to make goals? Because, again, I found that people that don't make the time to set the goals and make the systems get stuck, whereas you have not gotten stuck, and our businesses aren't stuck. And I just want to get your take on this. Talk to me about the people who say, what would you say to someone who says, I'm too busy to make systems and to set goals?
Then you'll always be too busy. That's my answer to that. If you don't make systems, if you don't set goals, you'll always be too busy for all the other important things in your life. Because if you don't set a goal and make it a priority, so for me, removing myself from my business so I can spend more time with my kids and my wife, that's a priority to me. So I set systems in place so that I can do that. And actually, 2 weeks ago, I finally got to hire my first associate. So it's starting to take shape of removing myself from the business and having somebody else here to help out with that.
Hey, you're an estate planning attorney, and suppose that Z's thinking about whacking me with a lead pipe, and I only have a few hours left to make some plans. What's your website, and what kind of problems can you help people out with there who are looking to plan their estate now?
My website is trustedepa.com. That's as in Trusted Estate Planning Attorneys. And we've got offices in Utah, in Salt Lake, and then also in Las Vegas, Nevada. Best number is 702-616-6001. And, yeah, we can help set up your trust, your will, your power of attorneys, and also we set up a lot of new businesses and help with business succession planning.
So, Blake, any state can call you? Are you licensed, or do I need it's like one state can. If I live in Arkansas, I can't call.
So I can help anyone in any state as long as they're okay with either Utah or Nevada law governing, because I'm only authorized to advise on those states' laws. But Nevada has the best trust laws in the country, so I actually do have clients pretty much all over the country who call me, and especially from an asset protection standpoint, we have some great asset protection laws out here.
Andrew, you need to connect Blake with our good friends we met at the conference that do the financial planning.
Money Insights, we talked about that today.
You guys need to make that connection. Why aren't you making that connection?
We
Fine.
just did.
Listen here.
Yeah,
Listen. Let
he
me create
Jason
controversy.
gave me their number and told me to reach out.
And they're both Mormon because, that's how I
Let
roll.
me make controversy. That's what gets the downloads. It's the controversy. We must have a fake tension
fight.
here.
Here.
Gotcha.
No,
I'll
but
punch you
seriously,
real fast.
we have final 2 minutes before we have to move on to our next show. Final 2 minutes. We're going to have 4 questions coming in fast. I'm going to ask a question. Z's going to ask a question. Krista with Weldhouse will ask a question, and Jason will ask you a question. Here we go. What are your thoughts on Keith Van Horn and just overall Keith Van Horn? What are your thoughts? Answer the question.
I remember watching him play growing up. That's about it.
I don't believe you. You had a poster of him. You loved him as a kid, didn't you, Keith Van Horn?
No, because he played for Utah, didn't he? So I was a BYU guy.
You're Mormon. You have to love Keith Van Horn.
You have to.
No, I don't.
Okay, fine. Fine. Steve Young. What are your thoughts about Steve Young?
Love Steve Young. My dad went to law school with him, so I actually have met him a few times.
Oh, that's sick. Oh, sick.
Sick.
Oh.
He let you wear one of his rings.
You probably
for a
have
little bit?
COVID. That's so sick. I want to just put Lysol all over this microphone right now. That is sick. You know Steve Young, really?
Wow.
He probably wouldn't remember me, but I've met him a few times.
Oh, he would remember
I
you.
bet you we couldn't even tackle him now to this day, no matter how old he is. You can't tackle him. He can move.
If he's not on your Dream 100,
he can shuck and jive.
Shame on you. I'm
Steve
calling
Young.
you out. You better put him on your Dream 100.
Oh, Z, back to you. I'm going to pass out over here. That's just sick. What's your final question?
I
Z?
mean, how many wives do you have?
How many wives? Answer the question.
I only have one.
Be honest. Come on, be
the way it
honest.
remains.
This is
We're
a
trying
very
to
honest
dispel the
podcast.
Mormon stereotypes here. Okay, so you're just saying one wife?
Well, that's not
And he
exciting.
doesn't like Keith Van Horn? He's really
which we
bucking
know.
a lot of our
Which
stereotypes
I
we have
know.
here.
I know.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, he's in his own man, that
He's
Blake.
Obviously, he's a
Blake, what's your
triathlete.
website? One more time there. What's your website?
TrustedEPA.com, as in Trusted Estate Planning Attorneys.
Krissa, what question do you have? Krissa with Weldhouse.com. What question do you have here with the incredible, not so fake, because he's super real, Blake Johnson?
Well, I am actually a client as well, and I have so many things that I want to head back to Arizona and implement right away. Like, I can't get back soon enough. So I just want to know, for you, did it take like a chokehold? Was there like some arm wrestling? Were you like just right off the gate the implementer, or what really got you going so that you followed the systems and implemented the processes?
So when I reached out, I was still partners with my dad, and he was not happy that I hired a coach because he's always just been him and his assistant. Getting him to hire me was, I had to sell him on hiring me. And so when I told him I had a coach, he's like, well, why do you want to grow? And I was like, I don't understand the question. That doesn't make sense. So that's actually what led to the conversation of me buying him out. So that was like the best news ever to me. But because of that, I was all of a sudden on my own. I was implementer from day one because I'm like, okay, now I got to make it work because I got to show him that what I was doing was actually worth it. So that's kind of been my motivation behind it.
That's a move.
Now, Jason, final question here before we wrap up today's show. What's the final question you have for Blake?
Well, Z was talking about who was on the Dream 100 for Blake, and the very first name we ever actually added to it was Coolio, because Coolio is from Las Vegas. So I just want to know, did you ever contact Coolio? If so, are you going to have him on the podcast?
Wow.
That's Coolio.
I think I did try calling him once, but I did not do a very good job of following up.
That's okay. We can follow up, man.
Hey, speaking of Steve Young, this guy's talked to Steve Young. I
Did
can't
you shake his
even
hand? He's got big hands, right? He's got like quarterback hands. He's got big hands.
Sure.
Oh,
What are you gonna say, Clay?
I'm just saying, I'm mind blown. I can't even talk right now. It's like, but it's not good. It's a podcast, and I can't speak. I'm blown away. I'm speechless.
Do you know what year he won the Super Bowl?
No, I just remember as a kid, it was like the 49ers set it and forget it. They were going to the Super Bowl, and it was Joe Montana.
Are you a
first.
Montana guy or a Steve Young guy?
I was just a young kid that was mesmerized that every year they would go to the Super Bowl. And it was like, okay, and then they lose their top quarterback, Joe Montana. He goes off to play for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
And the next guy might be better. I just remember going, this guy's crazy. He could move. He could shuck and jive. Steve Young.
He could shuck and jive.
Both.
So
Simultaneously.
I got a great story for you about Steve Young. That first year of law school, he and my dad played on an intramural basketball team together while he was in the NFL.
Really?
And in the final game of the finals for the championship, my dad blew out his knee, tore his ACL, and went out with like 2 minutes to go. They ended up losing the game, and my dad said it was because he went out and that was his thing. He's like, see, they couldn't win without me, even with Steve Young.
Oh,
That's
Send me a picture of that moment. Find all the Steve Young pictures you have. Take copies of them and send them to me just so I can have them in the
He's
man
probably got
cave.
posters all around his room. I
Oh,
imagine.
Steve Young. Thank you so much for being on the show there, Blake. You're a great
awesome.
American. Thank you so much. And one more time, what's that website?
TrustedEPA.com.
TrustedEPA.com, folks, if you want to work with an attorney that you can trust to help you make your wills and trusts. This is a great guy. He's a great American. Z, you smell terrific, and I can tell you, based upon the sound of his voice, Blake, you are sounding like you are smelling terrific.
Oh, you
Always.
know he is.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
That's a fact. We'll end with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom!